Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत गोस्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद भागवतम की सवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की हिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे ऑल glorious assembled devotees all Gauris assembled devotees, all Gauris assembled devotees, all Gauris, all Gauris, all Gauris, Shashi Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Cantos 2, Chapter 1, the first step in God realization, text number 9. Parinishthitopi nairgunya Parinishthitopi nairgunya Uttama shloka leelaya Uttama shloka leelaya Grihita cheta rajarshe Grihita cheta rajarshe Akyanam yadaditava Akyanam yadaditava Parinishthitopi nairgunya Uttama shloka leelaya Grihita cheta rajarshe Akyanam yad aditava Parinishthitopi nairgunya Uttama shloka leelaya Grihita cheta rajarshe Akyanam yadaditava Parinishthitopi nairgunya Uttama shloka leelaya Akyanam yadaditava Parinishthitopi nairgunya Uttama shloka leelaya Grihita cheta rajarshe Akyanam yadaditava Parinishthitopi nairgunya Uttama shloka leelaya Grihita cheta rajarshe Akyanam yadaditavan. Matajis. Parinishthitopi nairgunya Uttama shloka leelaya Grihita cheta rajarshe Akyanam yadaditavan. Parinishthita, fully realized, api, in spite of, nairgunye, in transcendence, Uttama, enlightened. Shloka, verse. Leelaya, by the pastimes. Grihita, being attracted. Cheta, attention. Rajarshi, O saintly king. Akhyanam, delineation. Yat, that. Aditavan, I have studied. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Translation, O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. Purport. The absolute truth is realized as an impersonal Brahman at the first instance by philosophical speculation, and later as the super soul by further progress of transcendental knowledge. But if by the grace of the Lord an impersonalist is enlightened by the superior statements of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is also converted into a transcendental devotee of the personality of Godhead. With a poor fund of knowledge, we cannot adjust to the idea of the personality of the Absolute Truth, and the personal activities of the Lord are deplored by the less intelligent impersonalists. But reasons and arguments, together with the transcendental process of approaching the Absolute Truth, help even the staunch impersonalists to become attracted by the personal activities of the Lord. A person like Shukadeva Goswami cannot be attracted by any mundane activity, but when such a devotee is convinced by a superior method, he is certainly attracted by the transcendental activities of the Lord. The Lord is transcendental, as are his activities. He is neither inactive nor impersonal. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadhati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, we welcome all the devotees for today morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. And I seek blessings of all the assembled devotees to speak appropriately to glorify the wonderful narrations of the Lord and also to purify my heart. With Hare Krishna Prabhu being here, seems to be like a sage is sitting from the ancient times in front of me. So I'm more tense. So this particular verse, let me read the translation again. O saintly king, I was certainly situated perfectly in transcendence, yet I was still attracted by the delineation of the pastimes of the Lord, who is described by enlightened verses. Shukadeva Goswami herein is narrating his own journey from being totally fixed in impersonal realization to coming to the highest realization of Bhagavan, of the Lord being a person. And the journey, as we know, started from the womb. Of course, we know the story that Shukadeva Goswami is originally a parrot of Srimati Radharani, who was specifically sent to speak the Srimad Bhagavatam. Like we know, there is the story of Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada was sharing once that to his devotees that he didn't want to come to this world because so much against Krishna, and there is no Krishna consciousness here. So Prabhupada didn't want to go. And then Prabhupada says that Prabhupada Krishna just told me, just go there and write some books and then you can come back. Of course, Prabhupada just didn't write books, but he also established a society where we can see the living books, the devotees, how to practice what is given in the message of these books. And Prabhupada once said that even if the entire movement or all the temples, everything that he has erected, everything goes away. Even if one of the books that is of the Bhagavatam that I have written is there, then again the movement can be revived. Therefore, we used to say books are the basis. And so Shukadeva Goswami specifically came to this world to give us the Srimad Bhagavatam. But when he came into the womb of Vyasadev's wife, what is her name? Vyasadev's wife? No specific mention is given of Vyasadev's wife. So he was very fearful to come into this world, because this world may distract him from his absorption in the Brahmajyoti, in the Brahman aspect. He came into the womb not in Tamoguna like all of us, but he was already enlightened right in the womb. That's why he says, Parinishchitopi Nairgunye. That I was fully realized in the womb of my mother. And no one can say here that from the womb I am enlightened, I am fully educated. We all are born Janmana Jayate Shudra. We are all born in darkness, in ignorance. Slowly we have to be trained how to eat, how to walk, how to do our normal activities. Then education begins of the surroundings. Then slowly it takes some 20-25 years to live as a human being. What to speak of transcending even the human level of consciousness. But Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami, he was enlightened right in the womb and he didn't want to come out. And there was no forces of nature that were influencing him to come out. Usually after the 9 months, the pregnancy is designed in such a way that the different hairs in the body, they push the baby outside to the world. But he decided to stay in the womb of his mother, so he can be, and because he was so satisfied in his meditation on the Brahmajyoti, and it was not just few months, it was for years, and Vyasadeva was getting very concerned. More than that, the mother, because carrying a baby in the womb, even 9 months is difficult. What to speak for years? It said that for 12 years, Shukadeva Goswami didn't come out of the womb. Some say 12, some say 16. Which one? I heard both aspects. So then Vyasadeva goes to Krishna, telling his problem that, the baby is not coming out. All the predictions, everything is, we are not able to know. And why is he not coming out? Then Krishna comes personally to the ashram of Vyasadeva and tells Shukadeva Goswami, and he gives him this benediction that you will not be touched by Maya. Don't worry, you are having this fear that, Maya will influence me if I come out. And definitely that does happen. And this beautiful bhajan of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhuliya Tomare, in that he says that, when a child is in the womb, he is praying to Krishna. There is the Garbha Stuti, where the child, the womb, baby realizes how much, I have been going through different lifetimes of being away from Krishna, how much I have suffered. And currently also, it's not a very beautiful place to be in the mother's womb, because there's so much gastric juices that are being released. It's totally dark, it's hot. So the baby is desperately praying that, Krishna, this time when I come out of the womb, I will not forget you. But Janaka Janani, but as soon as you come into this world, you are treated as a king, as a queen, that the whole focus is on the child. Every small details are catered to the child. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that, so in this way, that realization in the womb totally starts to fade away. After all, this world is not such a bad place, because I am being treated like a king. Whenever I cry, the milk comes. Whenever I want, the toy comes. So therefore, no, this world is actually, people actually love me a lot. Only after some years, when you sent to the school, where nobody cares for you, except the teacher, all the other children, even if there is some small little thing here and there, you start being bullied, or there is competition, you're not as good as the parents make you feel, that your handwriting is like, pearls. The equals usually right from nursery, they give you honest feedback, or maybe sometimes more than what is there. So then the struggle starts. So Shukadeva Goswami was promised that you will not be touched by Maya, you will be completely in transcendence. And so the moment he comes out of the womb, although that blessing was there, still he didn't want to stay in home. He immediately walks into the forest. And there is a beautiful prayer that Suta Goswami offers to his guru Shukadeva Goswami, that how as soon as he was walking, Vyasadeva, 12 years he waited for the child to come, and the moment he comes, he came as a full-grown boy, as a 16-year-old boy, and he starts to walk, and he's running after him. And even that episode comes where there were some ladies who were taking bath, and Shukadeva Goswami passes, it doesn't matter to them, but as soon as Vyasadeva passes through that area, immediately they cover their bodies. And Vyasadeva asked them that, when my child went, he's a teenager, 16-year-old, you didn't mind. Because usually at that time, passion is a lot. But the ladies say no. He is in Parinishthita, he is in transcendence, and we can see that in his eyes. But because you're part of the Varnashram, you're a Grahastha, you make distinctions between in genders, in the bodies. Therefore, we covered ourselves. So like that, he goes to the forest in spite of his father repeatedly calling him. And then the stories, as narrated in Brahma Vaivarta Puran, says that Vyasadeva, he understood that, his child, Shukadeva Goswami, is so fixed in the impersonal realization of God, that the only way he can, he can be elevated is if he hears the pastimes of the Lord, the qualities of the Lord. So therefore, he tells some of his students to go where Shukadeva Goswami is, in meditation, and as they are cutting the wood, to narrate some of the verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And at that time, as they are narrating two aspects, Krishna's beauty and Krishna's compassion. So that time, Shukadeva Goswami's heart, which is fixed in Nirguna, Brahman, becomes Sankshobha, becomes agitated. He is eager, that he is moved by the Lord's beauty, transcendental beauty, and is moved by Lord's compassion. And that time, Grihita Cheta is attracted to the Akhyanam, to the verses that are there. And it's not that, he just became elevated then and there to the... He wanted to properly study the Bhagavatam. Therefore, he comes back home after, hearing few verses of the Aho Bakiyam Stanakala Kutam, the mercy that the Lord showered upon Putana, and then the beautiful form that he possesses, transcendental form. And he says here, Akhyanam yat aditavan, that he studied the Bhagavatam. He heard, he sat under the feet of his father, Srila Vyasadeva, his guru, and he heard the entire Bhagavatam from him. Right from Janmadhyasya Yataha, Vishwanath Chakravarti writes that from where all did he hear? So he says that he heard from the first verse till the Amumuchat, one of the last verses of the Bhagavatam. Not able to find. So the entire Bhagavatam he hears, in which he is also there. And then he becomes fully, fixed in the Bhagavan realization of the Lord. And this impersonalism, this aspect, as there is, as Prabhupada writes in the 6th chapter of the Gita, that when one is on a journey, if someone stops at some place, say somebody is going to Vrindavan, and I call him, where are you going? So I'm on the way to Vrindavan. And he may be just at the gate, but it is rightfully saying he is on the way to Vrindavan. And he may go to the station. And when you ask him, I'm on the way to Vrindavan. When he is in, say, one of the stops in between, Ahmedabad or Kota, I'm on the way to Vrindavan. But say if somebody is going just to the station, he cannot say I'm on the way to Vrindavan, although it's on the road, because he is going to stop there only, or he is not going till the last point. So Prabhupada writes that if somebody stops at the level of karma, then he is known as karma yogi. Somebody stops at the level of jnana, then he is a jnana yogi. But if he is continuing the journey towards Krishna and doesn't stop anywhere, then he is a bhakti yogi who is always seeking Krishna, seeking to improve his relationship with Krishna, his love for Krishna. Then he is a bhakti yogi or bhakti yogi. So, in the impersonal realization, there are two. Those who are known as Brahmavadis, those who are aware of even a higher aspect of Bhagavan, but they prefer to stay at the Brahman level. And then there are the Mayavadis who say that it is the Brahman, it is the Brahma Jyoti which is the supreme. And impersonalism has 7 aspects to it, or 7 things that are usually focused in impersonalism. First is that the belief that we are all God, that there is no source there is no ultimate source from which we are all coming. That source is all of that. That same Brahman came into under the modes, and once you realize you are beyond the modes, then you, and the favorite verse, that the line that they use is Ghatakash Fatakash. That Ghata means a pot, and in the pot is Akash, is the space, and outside is also the space. But when the space is in the pot, it is called as the space in the pot. Like once in a management school, they were teaching management. And so he took all of them to a lake with a pot. And he said, this lake, maybe it was Powai Lake or whatever, this lake is not owned by us, this is public property. And this pot, I bought this pot. This is private property, this is mine. And then he immersed that pot into the waters, and he brought it out. And now that the water is in the pot, therefore this water has become private property. So what is business, or he was teaching in a humorous way, to convert public property into private property. When you take over some kind of positions with your skills, with your brain, the money is there in everyone's pocket, but with your ghata, when you take that, then it is so ghatakash. So when the space or water is in the pot, it is confined. But the moment you break it, fata, when the ghata breaks, then that space again mixes with the space. And so therefore we are currently confined in this ghata, in this pot, in this body. And when we get liberated, when we don't identify with this body, when we are free from this bodily identification, then we merge with the Brahman, we are all God. So that is one of the main tenets of impersonalism, which is very prominent. Even only after coming to Bhakti, after repeatedly reading Prabhupada's books, do we understand that how ingrained, how common is this understanding, that so many people times this is Atma hi Paramatma hai. So all these misunderstandings that go in the name of realization. Radhesham was giving one talk, and he was telling that one of his students was preaching at Cornell University, and there is a club called as Hindu Students Club, where they take different topics, and he wanted to give a talk. He wanted to do this DYS, And then the president of the club, he said, see, you can take any topic of Hinduism, karma, or no, the modes of nature, or this how this world is filled with suffering, or about 84 lakh species. You can take any of that, but don't talk about what is absolute truth. What is Param Satyam, don't talk about it. Because that's where we all differ. You say one thing, we say one thing, and there will be differences. So you speak all corollary topics, don't touch the primary uh, tattva, the main truth of. And it is also said that some of the books that he was reading before coming to bhakti, it was mainly impersonal books, impersonalist books. And when they were listing some of the famous Mayavadis or impersonalists, they also list Shukadeva Goswami as someone who was an impersonalist, but who got deviated. And they say that the book that Shukadeva Goswami wrote, Bhagavatam, is a big threat to those who want to follow the Nirvisheshvad, the Nirgunavad. So they highly, they put a disclaimer. If you want to stay in this realization, don't approach the Bhagavatam. Don't read. Because Shukadeva Goswami, he got away, became sentimentalist. He just got attracted to the names and forms of the Lord, not understanding that all this is ultimately not true. So therefore, the next they focus on austerity a lot. There is a lot of emphasis on austerity, because now we are all in Ghatakash. We are all, the Brahman has identified with this world, with the body, and for us to come out of that Ghata, that identification, we have to restrain ourselves from those things that we are identifying with. Therefore, tapasya, that restrain yourself so that you understand that you are not this body. You are not what you are identifying with. And recently I was talking to one devotee about driving cars. And he said that when he although he knows to drive cars, he doesn't feel to drive cars, because when he is driving the car, he is not able to see the whole car. He only sees that I am there, and he is not able to expand his identity that this car is also part of me. And it's a common thing that if you have to drive a car, you have to accept that this entire car is part of me. If something happens to the car, that when you are taking a turn, it's not just you are safe, but also the car is safe. So when you are in this world, you have to expand your identity to what you are entangled in, what you are bonded with. But that identity should not go to such an extent that the person only starts to identify with the car and forgets himself. There is Prabhupada gives this story that the cage is so well decorated, but the bird inside is hungry, is fasting. So many times we identify ourselves because for the need of living in this world, we need that those cars, those bodies. Otherwise, the soul cannot sustain in this world, cannot do its act, fulfill its desires. But when it goes the other way, when you start to too much over-identification or false identification that I am the car, then that's called as ahankar. That ahamkar, that what I have, what I possess is what is me, rather than seeing that this is what I have, this is not me. So therefore, there is a lot of focus is on austerity, and especially brahmacharya. that if someone has to become perfect in impersonal realization, then they cannot be in a grahastha situation. It is not recommended, it is not allowed for to perfectly realize the Brahman. Therefore, a lot of emphasis on austerity. Then there is also a lot of emphasis on studying the Vedic grammar and the Vedic nuances, that how the Vedas describe, especially the Vedanta Sutras. So there is emphasis on Vedic texts, studying all the texts different to try to come to that conclusion, and also focus on grammar, Vedic grammar. This is the fourth thing. Then the fifth thing is that everything is illusion. That this world is not real. What we see is all illusory. And so therefore, what is that? Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. That this world is illusion. Therefore, don't take it to be a factual reality. And Prabhupada clarified this, saying that this world is temporary, and because it is temporary, it is an illusion to think that I will be permanently in the situation that I am in. So therefore, this world is temporary, and because it is temporary, therefore it is illusion. In the particle physics, there are something called as quasi particles, and there are electron, proton, and then they further break up into further particles, and among them there are some called as quasi particles, and why they are called as quasi? Because their lifespan is so short. Only when there is that collisions, or when only in very short instances they survive, but they can't survive beyond that. So therefore they are called as quasi, means illusory or temporary particles. Of course, they use all that to go even deeper or further. So same way, because this world doesn't last for long, we may think that our lifespan is so long, but anyone who is old, he sees that life just passed in a moment. Whoa. The further the time that is ahead of us seems to be long, but the time that is behind us seems to be very short. So therefore, there is a lot of emphasis on that this world is illusory. This world is an illusion, and ultimately, the whole goal of life is to merge into that existence. There is no other goal other than mukti. Mukti is the goal. And then all the avatars, all the forms that we see of God are also illusion. That the Brahman has no form, that even avatars that come are all illusion. Like I think once someone had come here who was from this school of thought, and when he was seeing Radha Gopinath, he was telling devotees that I am very happy that you are serving me very nicely, thinking that I am that God, and these people are serving me very nicely by decorating and all that. So these 7 things is what is impersonalism, and there are radical impersonalists, those who are very much for this, and there are those who are just innocently became aware of this kind of thought flow, and we just flow. And most of India, most of the world is filled with this kind of understanding. Therefore, when Shukdev Goswami, when Suta Goswami offers prayers to his guru, he says that when he heard the Bhagavatam is Akhila Vrijina Gnam. Bhagavatam cleanses all types of contaminations that are all things that are indifferent or opposed to Krishna. In the 12th chapter, this verse comes. Akila Vrijignam, that Bhagavatam destroyed all kinds of obstacles. And this wanting to be merging with God is one of the biggest obstacles for bhakti. And the reason is there is no element of, there is no attitude of service, because you are seeing that I am serving this person so that I can become one with this person. So you are trying to take over that person's position, or you are thinking that that I am not serving him, but actually I am serving myself. Therefore, it is the height of selfishness, impersonal liberation. And Prabhupada often said, no, this is the last snare of Maya. And we are all stuck in one of the first snares of Maya, in this bodily identification, pleasures that we all try to gather, the pleasure of eating, pleasure of sleeping, pleasure of mating, fear of attacks, death. We are all stuck in this, one of the first illusions. And what to speak of the last snare of Maya. And therefore, Prabhupada very much warns us, whatever are the obstacles on the journey. And just like in this snakes and ladders, we see that there is a huge snake at the 99th step. Before you go to the 100th, there is a huge snake. And Prabhupada is warning us, giving us all the instructions, all things that we have to be careful when we take the spiritual journey. Because this desire to be God is a very strong desire, which is the reason for us to come here. And is manifests in different ways. It manifests in the way that there is no God, so there is no need to report to someone. It manifests in the way that God is there, but He doesn't control my life. That He is there, and I can be, if I work hard, I can be the God of what I control. Or the third is that God is there, but I can also become God. God is a post to occupy by some powers. And Prabhupada always said that Krishna didn't become God after some meditation or some accessing some powers. He was God right from the womb. At the age of 6, when he was 6 days old, he sucked the life out of Putana. And there was no tapasya, no powers that he accrued. And the other is the other conception that God is there, but I can become powerful, more powerful than God, and I'll kill God, like many of the asuras, rakshasas. And Prabhupada says this in that Gita in the 7th chapter, the 4 types of people, Chaturvida Bhajante Mam, and the 4 types of people that don't come to him. So all these types are there who don't accept the personal form of the Lord. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, he says, what is the difference between the Brahman realization of God and the Bhagavan realization? The farak kahan pe padta hai? The similarities are, what are the similarities between Brahman realization and Bhagavan realization? About this world, whatever they say about this world, some of the aspects that this world is miserable, all that are true. But there are 5 things that are different. That are better in the Brahman, in the Bhagavan realization. Yeah. So the Jiva Goswami writes that the 5 aspects in which Bhagavan exceeds Brahman, one is a vastitude in the expanse of the of realization. So Brahman is Lord's effulgence. It is the Lord's impersonal form. Like sometimes government is there all over the country, but government is there here in impersonal way, because the government is arranging all the facilities of electricity, of water supply. There is a tax, but it is because the government is working, therefore we are comfortably here. So this is the impersonal. The whole world is supported by the impersonal aspect of God. Jagat avyakta murtina. Maya tata idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. That I am supporting the entire universe by my energy, by my impersonal energy. Just like a father. The father may not be at home, parents may not be at home, but the children are supported by the father or by the parents by what he is doing. So that is the impersonal aspect. So the entire world is being supported by the Lord, by his energy only. But there is no, although the support is there, but still the child will want to have that personal relationship, that personal element. Yes, everyone is being supported, but do my needs being supported specifically? Is there custom support? No. Sometimes there are some softwares where all features are there, but there is no ability to customize. Like say if you go on a flight, everyone is given food, snacks, and some airlines give the customization option. You can choose what type of food you want. There are so many options. So although the Lord supports everything and everyone, you cannot tell the government, I want different kind of power. There is a general power, there is 3 phases that is given. But still the government can supply custom electricity based on the needs. But Krishna, he is generally supporting the entire universe, but is also personally customizing each one's experience, each one's journey in the form of Paramatma. So the Lord is also personally involved. That whatever are your needs, yes, we are there. It becomes, sometimes you call some company and there is this IVR that just speaking option 1, option 2, option 3. You want to come to a person so that he can fulfill your needs, whatever is your needs. So there is the element of Paramatma, the realization of Paramatma, that the God is not generally supporting everything, but Krishna is also supporting personally whatever are my needs. Upadrashta Anumanta, that I am there personally looking after each and everyone's desires, thoughts. I am witnessing everything. I am like that bird who is watching each of you. So there is personal tracking of each and every devotee. And then the highest realization is where the Lord has his own life, has his own desires. So in the Paramatma realization, that the Paramatma is catering to each and everyone's needs and interests and concerns. But the devotee, or the Jiva, realizes that the Lord, it is not just, he doesn't have any personal life. He's just, all the time just after his people. Sometimes it happens that, you are in charge of something and you are so much catering to each department and each one that you don't get to have any personal time for you. There is no personal time or your life. But Krishna is not like that. He is so busy with each one's life that he doesn't have his own life. He has fully his own life in much more grandeur scale than what we can imagine. Therefore, Prabhupada writes the last line in this, that the Lord is neither inactive nor impersonal. Sometimes when we are active, very active, we can't be very personal. because you have to do this, do that, do that. So tendency is that in being very active, you tend to be very impersonal, that things to be done. Or if you have to be personal, that you kind of sit with each one, that is not getting any work, that is not taking up any responsibility, any activity, no work is being done. Because like sometimes in book distribution, there are two types of book distribution. That one that sit with someone trying to explain him what is bhakti because he is interested, and he's not distributing the books. The books are not going. Or somebody is so much active in book distribution that somebody asks a question and say, Mandir jao, mandir mein milega answer. So we cannot be active and personal at the same time. But the Lord can be active, managing this whole universe, having his affairs in the spiritual realm, and at the same time is very personal. He doesn't become impersonal. And many of us, in some activities we prefer to be impersonal just to save our energy. Somebody is very angry and he's saying, "Bulao usko, जिसने किया है." And then when he sends someone else, "Bolo ghar pe nahi hai," or he is not the cause of the thing. It is the policy. So we try to impersonalize things when we want to save energy. But Lord is not lacking any energy. He is swabhaviki jnana bala kriyacha. He is possessing all the energies unlimitedly. But why is he impersonal? Not to save his energy, because we have preferred that we wanted to live a life away from God's supervision. Sometimes parents, sometimes children think that parents are becoming too nosy, or they're like helicopter parents, always hovering on them. So give me some personal space, give me some personal freedom. So the moment we want to be totally away from Krishna, Krishna allows that, and he sends us here. But the highest realization is where we understand that my true interest is when I am in presence of Krishna, following his will and trying to please him. So therefore, vastitude is the first one. And completeness. This is that the impersonal Brahman is not as complete as the Bhagavan realization. This is another aspect. And substantiality. Vedyam vastavam atra vastu sivadam. So the substantiality of Bhagavan is much more than the Brahman. Then the fourth is the beauty of the Lord. Yes, impersonal Brahmajyoti is very attractive, but much more attractive, thousands and millions of times more attractive, is the personal beauty of the Lord. Therefore, to such extent that the Acharyas say, Kaivalyam narakayate. It is hellish to want to be in the impersonal realm of the Lord. And the last is the amount of bliss, the kind of bliss and the amount of bliss that one can get from the Bhagavan realization. So Jiva Goswami says these 5 aspects are in which Bhagavan exceeds the Brahman. I'll just repeat. Vastitude, completeness, substantiality, beauty and bliss. So I'll stop here. And Shukadeva Goswami being enchanted by the Lord's beauty and by the Lord's compassion, because his bliss is in helping the souls. It's not selfish bliss, but in relishing his pastimes with the devotees, in sharing his joys, his opulences with the others that the Lord enjoys. So when he got attracted by these 5, especially the beauty and the mercy element, he changed his path from, and especially by studying the Bhagavatam. So therefore, let us all know, the moment we study the Bhagavatam, we shift from any other conception to the highest conception and absorption we can get. So thank you very much for your attention. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.